This is Marvin L. Storm, and we're here with Glenn Henderson. Glenn, I would like to have you take just a few minutes here and talk a little bit about where you're located, a little more about your business and what you do on a day-to-day basis for your clients. And then we'll have a brief chat here about me asking you some questions about the services you offer and how you kind of got involved in doing what you're doing today. So Glenn, why don't you just introduce yourself and your company?
Now you can hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Tell me when you want me to go.
We'll just start over here.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem. We'll just edit that out. Not a big deal. So here we go again. This is Marvin L. Storm, and we're here with Glenn Henderson. Glenn is located down in the Texas area, and we're going to take a little bit deeper dive into learning more about Glenn and his company and what he does for his clients on a day-to-day basis. So Glenn, why don't you jump in and talk a little bit about yourself and where you're located, and a little bit about kind of your career path and what brought you to where you are here today.
Thank you, Marvin. We're located here in Frisco, Texas, just north of Dallas. I've lived in this area for about 40 years. My credentials, I'm a CPA. I'm accredited by 2 organizations in business valuation, as well as being an accredited estate planner. So we put all those things together when I joined this firm, and I work in mergers and acquisitions, and I get to use all of those certifications when we do mergers and acquisitions work.
So what's the exact name of your firm?
The firm is CCK Strategies, PLLC.
C is in Charlie, C is in Charlie, K is in Kentucky Strategies?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're a firm of 138 people with 22 here in the Dallas, Frisco office. I'm the partner over this office. We have 6 other partners in our Tulsa office, and they have about 116, 117 people. So we're a regional firm. We have clients all over the United States. We are in 27 different countries, so we do a lot of international work also. So we can reach out and help people certainly throughout the United States, but in mergers and acquisitions, we like to work in the behind the scenes stuff, the structure and the planning and the things that buyers and sellers want to consider before they buy or sell. So that's really our strength, not as much as brokers as some might be.
So when you talk about and think about your pre-M&A career, what you're doing, because you're really specialized in facilitating M&A transactions, what was kind of your career path? What did you graduate? Who did you work for? And what sort of led to this decision to join CCK?
I went to Texas A&M University, graduated with honors, and have just a bachelor's degree. I've gone on to work for a big firm called Weaver and Tidwell in Fort Worth. It's now called Weaver, and it's a large regional firm. And that's where I got some of my real baseline experience, mostly in tax, partnerships, and taxation. Graduating there into estate planning, and got my credentials in estate planning, and later got the credentials in valuation. I had my own firm for about 27 and a half years before I merged with CCK Strategies here in Dallas.
Now, how long ago did you merge with them?
December 1st of 2017 was my merger date. So we're going on 4 years here.
Mm-hmm. And what was really the motivation that you decided to throw in your lot with a larger firm like you did?
That's a great question. Our culture, they invited me up to their Tulsa office, and I was really captivated by their office, the office layout, their culture of care for not only their own people, but their clients. And I could see, as much as I had tried, they were 10 years ahead of me in some of their culture and reaching out to the millennials and trying to bridge that gap. And that's really what brought me to cast my lot with them. It's enabled me to specialize in an area, and that's a luxury I had not had most of my career. So it's really good to use my tax and estate and evaluation background to work in mergers and acquisitions.
Well, sounds, I know from speaking of personal experience, when you have your own company and you're the captain of the ship, a lot of times you end up doing everything from client acquisition to back office to, HR to everything else that's involved in running a company. And you do get spread pretty thin, and, you make that up by working nights and weekends, kind of burns you out after a while. And so what it sounds like, now that you have an entire team behind you, you can become much more specialized and focused on, something that you have, skills and aptitude and experience in.
Well, our firm traditionally had an M&A department, but it was really in response to the needs of our clients. So what I'm bringing to the firm is that this really is an outreach area where we will actually work with new clients and use it as a marketing tool for our firm. So we're more of an outreach division than we've ever been before.
And you probably have a little bit deeper bench to, do much more specialized things than you probably could do on your own.
Yeah, we've got 7 credentialed valuation professionals. Most of those are partners with the firm, and 3 of those are part of the M&A division. So we've got some depth in this area.
So when you think about what you're doing now and what you've done in the past, what are some of the personal characteristics and kind of individual strengths that have contributed to your success in building a career in business?
I think trying to adapt to see what your strengths are. One of the things our firm does is we take the strength finders, and if we've got 138 people in our firm today, I have a sheet of paper that will tell you what the 5 strengths are of everybody in our firm. So we focus a lot more on our strengths than what you said, trying to be everything to everybody, because we're not strong in all those areas. So I don't have to work on audits anymore, and I don't have to do HR anymore. We've got that taken care of. I can really focus and do a deeper dive in the niche I'm in.
And I think that's a lesson for, all entrepreneurs out there that are growing and scaling their own companies. You've got to eventually come to a decision where you have to start surrounding yourself with other competent people and building a bench that's pretty deep, because you will truly burn yourself out if you try to do everything. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned personally, and I've seen other successful entrepreneurs, get to the point where they have really been able to scale their businesses once they've been able to surround themselves with people that can take them to the next level. And it sounds like that's kind of the situation that you found yourself in here. When you look at some of the biggest challenges, mistakes, or learning experiences, however you want to couch that term, during your career, what specific deal or transaction do you have the kind of the big learning experience that benefited you multiple times into the future?
That's a great question, and this does go a ways back. But I was in a meeting with a client in West Texas in the conference room, and we were going over numbers, and I was still probably a senior staff accountant, but I was somewhat in charge of this client and whatever their needs were, and we were having a board meeting, and the wife of the two owners of this company basically passed out from the discussions that were being had, and they took her to the hospital. She survived, but it really left an impression on me that accounting isn't just numbers. This isn't just about numbers and other things. This is people's lives that we're dealing with. And that's left a long-term impression with me, is that, don't make it impersonal. It doesn't have to be impersonal because it's personal to them.
Well, I think that's absolutely true. I think the most successful people in any given field, any technical field anyway, are those that connect the technical side to the personal side and can make it more about the individual and either structuring the discussions or the reporting or, how the client relationship evolves when there is a deep layer of personal relationship that's been developed over time. I mean, that has been reinforced in my career time and time again.
Yeah.
It sounds like this particular story was the kind of the domino that changed your perspective on things.
It did. It has.
When you look at yourself as kind of a seasoned M&A intermediary or advisor, what trends and changes do you see on the horizon that's going to impact, the M&A industry as a whole?
We have enjoyed in the last few years, even despite COVID and some other things, I think to the surprise of a lot of people, M&A has really continued. There was maybe a little hiccup or a little bit of a drought there for the best part of a year, but things picked right back up, and the demand is there for more consolidation and more mergers. So I think this is going to continue. My concern is what I'm hearing about some of the new tax provisions could actually drive our economy into another recession, and that would be hard. So I just don't like to see the roller coaster type ride. I'd rather it be we'd probably all like to see a steady trend up as we go, but it's just not that way. So I like to be one that's going to persevere in the good times and the bad. And there's good deals and bad deals in both of those.
Well, I think you're probably pretty accurate that the political climate continues to evolve and change, and sometimes decisions are made that seem good at the time, but have these far-reaching implications of how it impacts individuals. And the engine behind this magic of our economy and this country is the entrepreneurial incentive to create value, to create jobs, to provide innovation. All of these things are really generated by a mindset of this ability for entrepreneurs to have the drive and ability to succeed. And sometimes people who haven't sat in the captain's chair of building their own company just don't get it sometimes, and make decisions that kind of put a damper on that entrepreneurial spirit. But don't want to get too far into the weeds on that. But I think you're right that there is a political change, a political climate that seems to be on the horizon, and whether that's a few years or a longer term, who knows. But I do agree with you that the M&A world has and hopefully will continue to be a generator of value and source of jobs in this country as companies consolidate and change and evolve.
Well, CCK has a defined, if you ask what our ideal client is, whether it's M&A or tax or audit, it's the entrepreneur. So I love that word, and that's where a lot of our comments come from, is from the entrepreneur.
Yeah. I think without the entrepreneur, this country would still be an afterthought. So, in your firm, I know that you've mentioned that you do tax and you do other things. My understanding is that you have a valuation. You said you had 7 partners that focus on valuation. I guess you do consulting, both business growth and tax consulting. What other services do you offer that we haven't covered here today?
Yeah, thank you. We really are a full service firm. The one thing that we don't do that we could do is financial advisory. And we leave that to those professionals that are out there. They're a great source of business for us, and we love working with them. But we really haven't ever wanted to take on that as a part of our practice. But we have, audit and tax. We do a lot of nonprofit work. Tax is probably our biggest department, but we've got 7 credentialed people, and 5 of those, I believe, are partners in our firm in valuation. So business valuation is a big part of our practice.
Okay. When you look back over your career in the last 3 decades, what would you tell your 30-year-old self if you could give that person advice today?
I would probably have moved this direction a lot sooner, into the M&A area a lot sooner than I probably did. And it was partly out of necessity, but if I had it to do over, I'd probably move this direction sooner, because it's very exciting. No 2 deals are the same. And there's so much value that can be brought to the table by helping in this area. And for many of our entrepreneurs, it's the biggest transaction they're ever going to have. So there you go again. It is personal. They're not going to get very many swings at this pitch.
And to wrap it up here today, Glenn, what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone that's thinking about positioning their business for an eventual exit? That one capstone piece of advice, what would that be?
Try to imagine who the perfect buyer would be of your business, and find out how you position yourself for the best value. What are your value drivers? We try to identify the value drivers of businesses, and there's usually at least 4.
Well, that's a great piece of advice, and I think identifying the buyer is, I think, if not the top of the list, one of those criteria that should be on the top of everybody's list. Well, this has been great. I appreciate you taking the time to share some of your insights, your experience, and kind of the path that brought you to where you are today, and the type of services that you can offer clients, both current and future clients. So this is Marvin L. Storm with Glenn Henderson here, signing off, and we'll see you on the next episode where we chat with another advisor and M&A professional.
Thank you, Marvin.
Thanks for listening to the Business Exit Stories podcast. For more information or to reach out to today's guest, visit www.businessexitstories.com for more details. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast from your favorite podcasting platforms. And remember, maximizing business value at the time of exit doesn't happen magically. It takes planning.